All right, so we got the CB Performance throttle linkage here. I've already put some of this stuff together, but I'm going to go over it before I get too far. So you obviously have your arm right here. All this stuff was already installed, and then this is where the cable is going to be hooked to, and then your other arm. But put those on. Make sure you got the set screws on. And the position I have done to start off with, from what I've seen other people do as well, is these are one notch above where this would be positioned. So I've got these studs pretty much bottomed out with a nut on them on each side. I put a little bit of grease inside here on each end, and I've got it to where I can get it on there, and then I'll have to thread them back out, and then we'll kind of adjust it where it needs to be. But just make sure you don't forget your springs, and go from there. Hopefully one of these doesn't shoot out. All right, boom. So now I'm just going to take them and slowly space back out, and then make sure they're kind of, they're even. If you go, whatever, 5, 10, 15 turns on this one, make sure you go 5, 10, 15 turns on that one. That way this stud is sticking out about the same on both sides. All right, so I think I've got it pretty, set pretty good. It's pretty loose, but it's not too loose. You've got some movement here. I think this is good. There's no side-to-side play. I think this is good for now. But once you get that set, then we're going to tighten up the jam nuts so that they don't back out or go in. But something else you want to make sure you're aware of, the reason why I've got the air filters on, is make sure that this stud's not sticking out too far, that it doesn't hit the air filter. So I'm going to tighten up the lock nuts, and we're going to go from there. Next, just something small. I'm going to position close to where this hole is, and then just kind of lock it down, just so it's not moving around. We'll probably end up moving it later. I need to put the throttle tube / guide in there, which means I probably have to take this back out and move it to the side, but just for now. All right, so we need to, and I already done it, but there's a little tab on mine. I had to bend over, loosen this right here. Then we're going to take the tab off. And then for this setup, right, I've got the space saver. So as you can notice, none of the stuff is over here as far as like the mixtures and jets and all that stuff. So it's opposite. Normally you would have the arm on the inside pushing down. In this case, it's going to be pushing down on the left side, because obviously if I push down on the right, it's not going anywhere. I have to go to the left. So here's my arm. I'm going to put my little locker back on there. I'm going to tighten it down. And then I'm going to bend that back over. But real quick, I just want to cover something. So these guys were already installed, but I went ahead and installed the locking nuts right here. This one's smaller. I put the bigger one on the top of this guy, and just thread this guy on here as well. And here in a second, once we get the other side on, we're going to stick this guy in here and put a nut on it. First, I want to lock that down. All right, so I've got this set up to where it's pretty much all the way up. That might bite me in the butt, but I'll wait. So I'm going to throw this guy on here, and then I got to obviously adjust the position of the arm here in a second. I'm going to tighten this down. I'm going to do the same thing to the other side, and I'll come back to you. All right, so I've got the nuts on here. Everything's installed. I personally want this guy at pretty much a 90-degree angle. I actually need to be adjusted just a little bit. And once you get it to there, or what a position you think is best, tighten down that Allen key right there for this particular one. But also to me, I want, so you can see you got the throttle stop, and that throttle stop, I barely got it turned in to where it was barely touching. But for the setup, for the linkage setup, I want it to barely be touching, and then I'm going to turn these and lock them. And do that same thing for both sides. There's some other stuff I'm going to go into later as far as how to set up the carbs and all that for the first start. I mean, especially for me, because I want it to be able to run, you know, enough to kind of do what I need to do as far as distributor timing, this, that, and the other. But once we get some of that worked out, then we can better tune the carbs individually as far as vacuum and all that other stuff, and if we need to go bigger on jets. But all right, that's it. Yeah, please like the video. If you have any questions, please comment and ask, and I'll get back to you when I can. And yeah, subscribe.